Nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's great
now,
to be on.
the obvious question is, you're up for re-election tomorrow. Why are you here? Are you not superstitious? What's going on?
Well, first I heard a rumor that you have a pretty big audience. If you want to remind everyone in the country to vote, I thought that might be a good idea.
Vote. That's official. She's a senator. If you don't vote, I think you've broken the law. The last time you were here, you were with Claire McCaskill.
I was.
Now, she's up for re-election as well.
But she is doing a great job, and I think she's going to pull it in tomorrow.
So you think you're going to be working with her in the future?
Yeah. I mean, I am not... Okay, so I never predict things because, I mean, I don't take one thing for granted. I once ran for DA with no opponent, and I still put up 3,000 lawn signs, did 29 parades, and 85 pancake breakfasts in Bean Feeds.
And you were the only person on the ballot?
I was the only one on the ballot.
All right.
So I think we have to be very careful about taking anything for granted, but the energy out there is just palpable. Every corner of the state I go to, all 87 counties in Minnesota, people are psyched up and ready to vote.
How does it feel compared to... Sure, be psyched. Get psyched up. How does it feel compared to 2016?
Well, okay. First of all, major difference. In 2016, there were, especially in rural Minnesota, in the suburbs, Trump lawn signs everywhere. This time, there are so many Democratic lawn signs, it looks like a yard sale of some kind. They are everywhere. The other thing is that people are much more focused on the reality of this. They're worried about their health care. They're worried about getting kicked off their health insurance if they have a pre-existing condition. They're worried about the price of prescription drugs. These are the things that they're talking to me about, and I think reality has hit. And the last thing they keep talking about is they want to bring decency back to our politics.
That would be delightful. That would be refreshing.
Yes.
How long have you represented Minnesota?
Well, I've represented Minnesota. First, I was the DA, and then I've been in the Senate since 2006.
Okay. I'm not good at math, so like 40 years? No.
No,
So let's check your
exactly.
Minnesota cred. Let's check your Minnesota cred.
All right.
Okay.
This could ruin my whole election right here. Here we go. Okay, go ahead.
Have you ever been immortalized in butter at the Minnesota State Fair?
Okay, well, that is like our Mount Rushmore for your audience here, because what we have at the State Fair is a butter carver who sits in her down coat in a revolving refrigerator and carves Princess Kay of the Milky Way and her 10 princesses out of butter and does their butter bus, which is, of course, their heads.
Sure.
Out of 90-pound blocks of butter. Every day she does a new one, complete with a tiara, and that is like the biggest thing at our state fair and really in our state.
I will repeat the question, Senator.
Okay.
Have you ever been carved out of butter at the Minnesota State Fair?
Okay, very clear. I don't want to evade your question. No, because only Princess Kay can, and I've only been Ms. Skyway of March of 1988. And so that would not allow...
Ms. Skyway?
I was.
How did you get... You've buried the lead. How did you become Ms. Skyway? And what is Ms. Skyway?
Well, that is if you work in downtown Minneapolis, which I did in the past, in the private sector, and every month they would pick someone that worked on the Skyway to be Ms. Skyway. And then you got your picture in the Skyway News. The Skyways, of course, are the glass-enclosed above-ground tunnels that connect our buildings.
Because if you go outside in the winter, you will die.
That's right. And they're like a human habit trail.
Sure.
And so I got named Ms. Skyway, and I got a dinner for 2 and 12 helium balloons. But no butter carving.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Well, we have to take a break. We'll be right back with more Senator Amy Klobuchar. Stick around. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Late Show. We're here with Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. President Trump argues with emotions versus facts. And it's very effective to argue with emotions. How do you counter that?
Well, I am a former prosecutor, so I do believe in evidence and correct facts, but I think you counter emotion with emotion. I mean, he has been playing everyone like the audience with cheers and jeers and one-liners and trying something new every single day, and I think that this isn't a moment tomorrow to be a member of the audience. This is a moment of citizenship. This is a moment where everyone will be a citizen. And the way you counter what he's been doing is with emotion. So when someone comes up to me on a parade route with their child in a stroller and says, "This is my kid. He has Down syndrome. I will do anything for him in the world, but this is a pre-existing condition, and I will do anything for him." Or when Doug Jones won in Alabama in this victory for decency and dignity, and the people of that state decided to cross, a number of them voting Democrat when they'd never done before, that was emotion for them. Or just last week when the imams stood next to the rabbis and the priests and the Lutheran ministers in Minnesota, and we all stood arm in arm to support our Jewish community after that heinous, heinous murder in that synagogue. That was a moment of emotion. That was positive emotion. It was bringing people together. So what do you do when he has that angry emotion? You take it head on with positive emotion, and that's how you win.
Knock wood.
Okay.
Knock wood. Now, there's a chance for a record number of women to be in the Senate this time around.
Yeah.
23. There's a good chance, obviously don't know, but there's a good chance that 26 women will end up in the Senate after Election Day. What is your first day advice to these people coming in?
Well, I think it would be to be careful of what you eat.
Why do you need to be careful about that?
Well, because my first day in the Senate, I was in the fancy dining room, the LBJ room with a big picture of Lyndon Johnson looming above, and I went and got a cup of soup and a salad, and I'm ready to dive in, spoon midair, and the only other woman at the table, Senator Patty Murray of Washington State, runs around, grabs my arm, and she says, "Amy, you just took the entire bowl of Thousand Island dressing, and you're about to eat it." And I said to her, "That's what we do in Minnesota. We eat the Thousand Island dressing." So, yeah, that. And I would say,
there it is.
My other piece of advice to anyone that's in politics, whether you're in the city council, the school board, student council, is to respect other people, to be willing to find that common ground, to understand that courage isn't just standing in the corner of the boxing ring throwing insults, that courage is whether or not you're willing to stand next to someone you don't always agree with for the betterment of this country. And that you go where it is uncomfortable, not just where it's comfortable. And that's how we're going to win the Midwest.
Thank you for being here, Senator. Senator Amy Klobuchar.